Good morning, everyone. A very good morning to all of you.
Good morning, all of you.
A very good morning to all of you. Suprabhat. Am I audible to everyone?
Yes.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Very warm welcome to all of you. I, Isha Naran, from the Department of English, DAV College Abbotsford, am your moderator for the morning today for the webinar Advaita Philosophy, Historical Texts and Contemporaneity, organized jointly by the Departments of English, Hindi and Sanskrit. अद्वैतवाद पर परिचर्चा हेतु यह संगोष्ठी इसलिए भी सामयिक और प्रासंगिक है कि 6 मई को वैशाख शुक्ल पंचमी का दिन आदि शंकराचार्य जी का जन्म दिवस भी है. Talking of Advaitavad, the first systematic exponent of Advaitavad was Gaudpada. In his celebrated text, Mandukya Karikas, we find the teachings of Advaita Vedanta for the first time. But it is in the philosophy of Shankaracharya that we find its beautiful culmination. The Advaita of Shankaracharya is a rigorous, absolute one. According to him, whatever is the Brahm, is the absolute homogeneous. Everything merges into it. His teachings can be summed up in half a verse. Brahma Satya, Jagam Mithya, Jivo Brahma Napara. Brahma, the absolute, is alone real. This world is unreal. The Jeev, or the individual soul, is non-different from the Brahm. Shankara's system can stand on its own feet as pure metaphysics without the help of any theology. As compared to other theistic Vedantic systems like the Vasisht Advaita, Shankara's is a philosophy, not a theology. But at the same time, his system provides theology as provisional standpoint, a base camp for those who want to master the Advaita. And the beauty is that not only one, but many, including the foreign religions like Islam and Christianity, can easily be fitted into his framework. To Shankaracharya goes the credit for reviving the Sanatan Dharma and rescuing the Vedantic culture from foundering. His thought has found relevance in all times. Apart from his Advaita, all his philosophy has been relevant throughout. Advaita has been a matter of concern and conflict and discussion and debate for quite some time, and even today it is as relevant. Even as we come down to the modernist poets such as W.B. Yeats and his theories of the gyres, and in the search for the organic unity, Shankaracharya's philosophy finds its relevance. The webinar today proposes to aware the students and the other respected members of the philosophy of Shankaracharya and to reconsider how some of his important texts have influenced and the various schools of philosophy popular all over the Indian subcontinent. The youth today need to be reintroduced to the rich cultural heritage. When the moral values are declining at such a fast pace, when the times are changing so drastically, we need to look back a little to reassure ourselves of our own words and to remind ourselves all over again that when things are falling apart, to use Yeats' phrase, individual dignity should be a priority when visualizing a comprehensive, all-inclusive society. So with this concept note, I now invite Dr. Anita from the Department of English to, uh, to welcome our honored guests for today. Over to Dr. Anita.
Yes, am I audible to all?
Yes,
A very good morning to all of you. I am Dr. Anita from Department of English, DAV College, Abohar. Now on the behalf of our HOD, Mr. Vrinder Sethia, I welcome you all. It gives me an immense pleasure to start this virtual seminar by heartily welcoming everybody. I welcome all the eminent speakers, guests from different parts of country, our worthy principal, Sir Dr. R.K. Mahajan, our colleagues and all the participants. I heartily welcome our keynote speaker, Professor Gauri Mahalikar, Academic Director, CIF Kerala. I welcome our first resource person, Dr. Shivani Thakur, Ramaya, World School, Himachal Pradesh. I welcome our first resource person, Dr. Shivani Thakur, Ramaya, World School, Himachal Pradesh. Second resource person is Sri Ranjani Vridharajan, who has been associated GE Energy Siemens as project manager. Then I think this is the first virtual seminar in the history of our college, which is jointly organized by the three departments, Hindi, Sanskrit and English. Theme of this virtual seminar is Advaita philosophy, historical text and contemporaneity. Now I hand over it to Isha ma'am for the next process of this event. Welcome more participants, then keynote speaker, then resource person and all colleagues and other participants. Yes, Isha ma'am.
Thank you, Anita ma'am, for introducing our speakers, eminent speakers for the morning. Uh, the next event is the recital of shloks by Adi Shankaracharya by Professor Brij Mohan from the Sanskrit department of the college. Over to Brij Mohan, sir.
नमो नमः सर्वेभ्यो। अस्माकं भारतीयः परम्पराः संस्कारः अर्थप्रधानः अस्ति।
हेलो।
मातृदेवो भवः, पितृदेवो भवः, अतिथिदेवो भवः। अतिथिदेवो सर्वेषाम् अतिथि देवो भव। सर्वेषां स्वागतम् अभिनन्दनं च करोमि। सर्वेभ्यो नमो नमः। आदि शंकराचार्यः विरचितं श्री शिव मानस पूजा प्रथम श्लोक अहं गायामि। रत्नैः कल्पितमासनं हिमजलैः स्नानं च दिव्याम्बरं नानारत्नविभूषितं मृगमदा मोदाङ्कितं चन्दनं जाति चम्पकबिल्वपत्ररचितां पुष्पां च धूपां तथा दीपं देवदयानिधे पशुपते हरितकल्पितं गौरीयताम्। आदि शंकराचार्य जो भौतिक पूजा, भौतिक पदार्थ पूजा को प्रधान न मानते हुए जो मानसिक पूजा है इसको प्रधान मानना है, जो मन के द्वारा भी हर कोई भगवान का पूजा अर्चन कर सकता है। जैसे इस मंत्र के द्वारा बताया गया कि रत्नों के द्वारा मैं हे भगवान आपको जो आसन दिया जा रहा है आप ग्रहण करें। शीतल जल से मैं आपको स्नान करवा रहा हूँ और नाना प्रकार के रत्नों से मैं आपको विभूषित कर रहा हूँ और केसर युक्त चंदन का मैं आपको लेपन कर रहा हूँ। जो जाति चंपक बिल्व रचितम, जो जूही आदि पुष्प हैं उन पुष्पों की मैं पुष्पांजलि और धूप दीप आदि मैं आपको अर्पित करता हूँ। ये मन से मेरी पूजा की हुई आप स्वीकार के हे करुणानिधे, हे दयानिधे। सर्वेभ्यो नमो नमः।
धन्यवाद ब्रजमोहन सर, हमें इतने सुंदर श्लोक सुनाने के लिए और उनकी व्याख्या भी हमारे लिए करने के लिए। Our worthy principal sir, Dr. R.K. Mahajan, could not be here due to some prior engagements, but he sends us his good wishes. We thank you, sir, for your blessings and your support in all our endeavors. Now, I invite Dr. Nirmala from the Department of Hindi to introduce our first speaker, the keynote speaker, Professor Gauri Maholikar. Over to Nirmala, ma'am. So till the time Nirmala ma'am joins us, some interesting facts about Shankaracharya ji. वो कहते हैं कि अद्वैत यानी दो का अंत, दो का अंत मतलब so we'll continue with this discussion. Nirmala ma'am is here with us. Nirmala ma'am, please join. Please introduce our speaker. Thank you.
Om Shantikaram Bhujangashayanam Padmanabham Suresham Vishwadharanam Gaganasadrishyam Meghavarnam Subhangam Lakshmikantam Kamlinayanam Yogi Bhidhanagamyam वंदे विष्णु भवभयहरणं सर्वलोकैकनाथं। ओम सर्वमंगल मांगले शिवे सर्वार्थ साधिके शरणे त्र्यंबके गौरी नारायणे नमोस्तुते नमो नमः नमोस्तुते नमो नमः नमोस्तुते नमो नमः। इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ मैडम, मैं निर्मला पूरी डीएवी महाविद्यालय की तरफ से प्रोफेसर गौरी महुलिकर का हार्दिक अभिनंदन करती हूँ, तहे दिल से स्वागत करती हूँ। मैडम, प्रोफेसर गौरी महुलिकर बहुआयामी व्यक्तित्व की धनी हैं। आप पूर्व में ऑफिशिएटिंग वाइस चांसलर एंड डीन ऑफ फैकल्टी चिन्मय विश्वविद्यापीठ, हेड ऑफ संस्कृत डिपार्टमेंट मुंबई विश्वविद्यालय, हेड ऑफ गुरुदेव टैगोर चेयर ऑफ कंपैरेटिव लिटरेचर मुंबई। वर्तमान में महोदय आप अकादमिक निदेशक चिन्मय अंतर्राष्ट्रीय फाउंडेशन एर्नाकुलम केरल में अपनी सेवा दे रही हैं। महोदय, आपने एमए पीएचडी संस्कृत वो भाषा, भारोपीय भाषा परिवार की जननी संस्कृत में शोध कार्य करके आपने अन्य भाषाओं को भी संबल प्रदान किया है, जैसे हिंदी, अंग्रेजी, मराठी, कन्नड़, गुजराती आदि। आपका लघु शोध कार्य प्राचीन ग्रीक नाटकों और भारत के नाट्यशास्त्र विषय रहा है, जिसके लिए आपको मनेकजी लिमजी गोल्ड मेडल मुंबई विश्वविद्यालय से प्राप्त हुआ है। मैडम, गोल्ड मेडल का नाम सुनकर हृदय गदगद हो गया, बहुत अच्छा लगा। आपके शोध का विषय पुराणिक मंत्रों और ऋचाओं में वैदिक तत्व, मुंबई विश्वविद्यालय 1992 में किया। आपकी 8 पुस्तकें हैं और 90 से अधिक शोध आलेख अंग्रेजी, मराठी, संस्कृत और हिंदी में प्रकाशित हैं। आप यूजीसी फंडेड प्रोजेक्ट डिजिटल प्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ पाम लीफ मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट्स 2010 से 2015 में समन्वयक के रूप में कार्यरत रही हैं। कुलपति ऑफ संस्कृति संवर्धन प्रतिष्ठान की रही हैं आप। एनजीओ भी चलाती हैं और स्कूली बच्चों को आप शिक्षा के मूल्य प्रदान करती हैं। वाइस प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इतिहास संकलन समिति कोंकण प्रांता। महोदय, आपको अनेक पुरस्कार प्राप्त हैं। अंतर्राष्ट्रीय रामकृष्ण अवार्ड, गुरु गौरव पुरस्कार, कवि कुलगुरु कालिदास संस्कृत सदन पुरस्कार, संस्कृत पंडित पुरस्कार, आदि शंकराचार्य पुरस्कार, सावित्रीबाई फूले पुरस्कार, इंदिरा वहरे पुरस्कार, इतने पुरस्कार से आप सम्मानित हैं। आप इतनी बहुआयामी प्रतिभा की धनी हैं महोदय कि मुझे बिहारी की ससई की तरह एक पंक्ति में कहना पड़ेगा कि जैसे बिहारी की ससई श्रृंगार प्रेमियों के लिए श्रृंगार मंजूषा है, भक्तों के लिए भक्ति सरिता है, नीतिज्ञों के लिए नीति का ऐसा वट वृक्ष है जिसकी छाया तले बैठकर जीवन सरलता से बिताया जा सकता है। आज आप हमारे समक्ष अद्वैत दर्शन के विचारों से हमें लाभान्वित करने के लिए, अद्वैत दर्शन जितना मैं जानती हूँ महोदय, संस्कृत अहम ब्रह्मस्मि, अद्वैत में अहम ब्रह्मस्मि, अहम ब्रह्म एको न द्वितीय असि। कबीर ने भी यही कहा है, एके ज्योति सब उत्पन्ना, को ब्राह्मण को शूद्रा। यही गुरु नानक ने, यही मीरा ने, मेरे तो गिरधर गोपाल। यही कृष्ण अर्जुन को कह रहे हैं कि आदि मध्य और अंत में मैं ही हूँ, मैं ही सब में व्याप्त हूँ, मैं ही सबको उत्पन्न करता हूँ और सब मुझ में ही विलीन हो जाते हैं। महोदय, मैं निश्चित आश्वस्त होती हूँ कि मैंने आपका जितना देखा है कि आप अपने विचारों से निश्चित ही विद्वत वर्ग और छात्र वर्ग को लाभान्वित करेंगे। आपका सादर अभिवादन, नमस्कार। अगली आवाज प्रोफेसर गौरी महुलिकर।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। Thank you, Nirmala Madam, for this very kind words, and I would like to thank the principal, the heads of the Department of Hindi, English and Sanskrit for coming together and organizing such a wonderful one-day webinar on the International Philosophy Day. And tomorrow we are having Adi Shankaracharya Jayanti. Today is Ramanujacharya Jayanti. So this is really wonderful to have a feat of philosophical discussions on the eve of Shankaracharya Jayanti. I would start with a salutation to Shankara, Advaita Sthapanacharyam, Shankaram Lokasadgurum, Prasthana Trayabhashyadi, Granthakaram Namamyaham. Advaita Sthapanacharyam. He is the Acharya who has established Advaita. He is Shankara. Shankaroti iti Shankaraha. He is one who he negative particle, and Dvaita is duality, dualism, which leads to multiplicity in a way, right? So that nakara, that negative particle, has different meanings. It has the meaning of absence of Dvaita, it is opposition of Dvaita, and it is different from Dvaita. So Advaita is absence of Dvaita, absence of dualism. Then it is opposite, Viruddha, tasya viruddharthaha, and difference, tad bhinnatvam. So these are the different meanings. Loka Sadguru, he is the Loka Sadguru because he suggested the Panchayatana Puja. He is the one who brought the Shanmata together, and that is the way of assimilating the different cult people, in one thread. So that was really very beneficial for the societal health on a larger scale. Namamyaham. Namami is not just salutation, it indicates humility. You have to attain, you have to become, you have to be in a low position, Upanishad, in that also Ni suggests you that meaning. You have to be on the lower level if you are a seeker, and the person who gives you, he is on the upper level. As the water or the river flows from the from atop a mountain to the foothills, down. Similarly, the wisdom flows to the boat down students. So with this salutation, I would turn to the topic as such. The topic is Advaita philosophy, historical text and contemporaneity, right? So historical text, what is philosophy? What is Advaita philosophy? What are the historical texts and how contemporarily they are relevant today? So their contemporaneity. So let me just take you to, what is philosophy? Philo plus sophy, everybody knows that this is a combination, this is a compound of two words. But what is human, human brain is inquisitive by nature. By nature, human being is inquisitive. He would like to know, who am I? Koham. Kastvam, who are you? Kuta ayataha, from where did I come? What is this world around me and who created all this? He wants to know by nature, to know, to analyze, to deliberate, ponder upon, rationalize, and then internalize whatever data, whatever information he gets. So this philosophy, any philosophy you can take, Greek philosophy, Buddha philosophy, Jain philosophy, Hindu philosophy, Sikh philosophy, whatever philosophy you choose, they revolve around three things: man, matter, and maker, Jiva, Jagat, and Jagadishvara. So what is philosophy? Philosophy is trying to give you answers to the interrelations between these three things. And why should we study philosophy after all? We are all English literature people, we are Hindi or Sanskrit literature people, we are engineers and doctors and CAs and lawyers. What is the purpose of learning philosophy? Learning philosophy is revisiting our ancient scriptures, researching its principles, the fundamentals. That is the need of the hour. Especially when our values are declining today. Our fraternal feelings are replaced by inhuman attitude towards others, even to our relatives, the blood relatives. Rediscovering the wisdom of our ancient seers, finding its reflection in the works of Shankaracharya and so many saintly people who are born after Shankaracharya. Somebody quoted Kabir. I am also going to quote Kabir in a short while. So in the works of the later thinkers and trying to correlate that to the modern days is really the need of the hour, and that is why we should learn philosophy. The essence, and it is said, essence of the intellectual life of a society is reflected in its philosophy. The more sincere and grave the philosophy, more civilized is the culture, more intellectual is the civilization. Ancient India, for example, ancient Greece, for example, see the Aristotle, Plato, Socrates, and then later on the German philosophers, Kant and Schopenhauer and so many others, So these countries, ancient India and ancient Greece especially, are known for the development of philosophical ideas from times immemorial. Right from the Vedic times that philosophy starts, it has been crystallized later on by Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya and the great philosopher saints. But the roots of Indian culture can be traced in the 6 systems of Indian philosophy. They are called Astika Darshanas, Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Purva Mimamsa and Uttara Mimamsa. These are the 6 systems of Indian philosophy, and all the roots of our diversity, all the roots of our unity and continuity, equality, tolerance, non-violence, secularism, whatever values, philosophical values, can be traced to these 6 systems. So this is the core, this is the base. In that, we are going to study, we are going to contemplate on the 6th philosophical system, which is Uttara Mimamsa. And in Uttara Mimamsa again, we will come to the Kevala Advaita. So basically, when I said that man, matter and maker, these 3 are the principles around which everything revolves, how they are related to each other, on that depends. Nothing is real, nothing exists. Subdunyam, that gave rise to Shunyavada, nihilism. On the other hand, there are the material people, the Bhautikavada, the Charvakas, the Lokayatas, who would say, whatever I see, whatever I experience is all real. And therefore, let me live in the present without bothering, without worrying about the future. So if you draw a line, on one hand, there is Shunyavada, the nihilism. On the other hand, there is materialism, consumerism, or Bhautikavada, or the Charvakavada. And in between lie the Vijnanavada of the Buddhists, the idealism, the Dvaitavada of Madhvacharya, the dualism, and the Advaita Vedanta, the non-dualism. In the Advaita Vedanta, there are 4 schools. I am coming from gross to the subtle, from the general to the particular. That's what I am going to stress on through the Panchakoshas also, which are expounded in the Taittiriya Upanishad. In the Vedanta schools, we have Dvaita, which speaks of dualism. There is Kevala Advaita of Shankaracharya, 8th century. Vishishta Advaita of Ramanujacharya, 10th century. Dvaita Advaita of Nimbarakacharya, contemporary of Ramanujacharya. And Shuddha Advaita of Vallabhacharya, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama of 14th century. So even if you take Advaita Vedanta, there are 4 schools: Kevala Advaita, Vishishta Advaita, Dvaita Advaita, and Shuddha Advaita. Leave aside Dvaita of Madhva. Even there are 4 schools of Advaita. In that today we are going to do something, some more time on the Advaita, the non-dualism, and especially the absolute monism, Kevala Advaita, propounded, rather not propounded, he was not the first one, but promoted by Adi Shankaracharya. Fortunately enough, I am staying in the birth home, maternal birth home of Adi Shankaracharya. Adi Shankaracharya's mother mother's house, Aryamba's house, is still preserved in Veliyanar SIF campus where I'm working in Ernakulam district. So I really feel very blessed, very fortunate, and this is a wonderful opportunity to speak on Shankara Vedanta. I am a great devotee of Shankara Bhashya and Shankaracharya. Non-dualism, this principle, this comes from Upanishad, Mandukya Upanishad, somebody quoted right now, and the Gaudapadacharya's Karikas on it. Gaudapadacharya was a grand preceptor of Adi Shankara. Adi Shankara's guru is Govinda Bhagavad Pada, and Govinda Bhagavad Pada got Diksha from Gaudapadacharya, whose matha is established in the southern district of Goa, southern state of Goa. Gaudapadacharya ka ashram Mahapite. What do they say? Jnate dvaitam na vidyate. Once you are realized soul, once you realize that Jiva Shiva ka Advaita hai, Jivo Brahmaiva na paraha, then there is no scope, there is no room for duality whatsoever. Tasmat Advaita Shiva. Therefore, non-duality is Shiva, is beneficial, is auspicious. Gaudapadacharya would say, Maya matramidam dvaitam, Advaitam paramarthata. Whatever duality, see, for all practical purposes, we live in the world of duality and multiplicity. You are different, I am different, your principal is different, your HOD is different, your students are different, your colleagues are different, everybody is a different person. But this is all Maya. Inner core of all of us is the same Paramatman, the same Brahman, and therefore Shunichaiva Shvapakecha, Chandalecha, Panditas Samadarshinaha, as Bhagavad-Gita says. So Advaita Shiva, Maya Matramidam Dvaitam. What is Maya? Maya is illusion. Maya is avidya. Maya is nescience and our ignorance. What is reality? Paramarthika Drishtya, from the transcendental point of view, non-duality is real. But in the word non-duality, there is the word duality. Therefore, unless you know what is duality, you will not be. You means you and me, we will not be able to understand what is non-duality. And once it is known, once this non-duality, this principle is known, tatra kaha mohaha, kaha shokaha, ekatvam anupashyataha. One who sees oneness, for him, there is no fear, there is no sorrow, no mohaha, no shokaha. Because all the fear, all the shoka, all the agony, all the worries and anxieties and depressions and despondency, they begin with the second. If you are left to your own self, you simply relish in your own being, in your own existence. If the other person is there, then there starts conflicts, clashes, differences of opinion, and then there is moha, shoka, then arises our ego, who is right, who is wrong, and all these things start once there is a duality. But once we know the Paramatma staying in my heart, Angushthamatraha Purushaha, and Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva Praninam Deham Ashritaha. When the Paramatma stays in our heart, the same Paramatma stays in your heart, her heart, his heart, and everybody's heart, then we are all one. Shlokardhena Pravakshami, Shankaracharya say about this Advaita Vedanta, Shlokardhena Pravakshami. In half a verse, I will say, Yaduktam Granthakotivhihi, what is propounded in crores and lakhs and thousands and hundreds of texts and scriptures. And what is that half a line? Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya Jivo Brahmaiva Na Paraha. Brahma Satyam, there is only one reality, that is Brahma. Satyam is reality. Satyam Artham Ayayati iti Satyam according to the etymology, the thing which leads you to the existentialism, to the existence, that is truth. Brahma Satyam. So what is truth? It is Trikala Badvita. It is universal, uniform in all the three tenses, the past, the present and the future. Brahman as it was in Vedic times, in Shankara's times, it is the same today, it will remain the same tomorrow. If Brahma alone is real, what about this world around us? Jagan Mithya. Jagat is not stated to be asatya. Just note this thing, note this word Mithya. Mithya doesn't mean asatya. Mithya doesn't mean falsehood. Mithya is a vikalpa. Mithya is a pratibimba. Mithya is adhyasa. It is superimposition. I'll tell you this with an example. In a dark corner of a room, when you enter, perhaps there is a coiled rope and you mistake it for a snake. Now that rope is there, which is Satya, it doesn't change. The rope is going to remain the rope only. But you perceive it as a snake. Does your perception really change the nature of the rope? It does not. Rope remains as it is. You may superimpose whatever are your ideas, your perceptions. These are only mithya. They are not true. They are not real. They are superimposed. Somebody may, if a snake is like crawling, it's like a crooked path of the snake. It is there on the road. Somebody may mistake it for a stream of water. Somebody may mistake it for bhudalana. There is a crack in the earth. So there are so many superimpositions. Snake is not the only vikalpa. There are so many other vikalpas. So Jagat is mithya. We see Jagat as according to हम अपने चश्मे से देखते हैं. As a jaundiced person, jaundiced eye would see everything yellow. If you see through a crystal, you will see the pure and the multicolored world. It's all our perception. That doesn't change the nature of reality. And therefore, in the last quarter, Shankara sums it up as Jivo Brahmaiva na paraha. Jiva is Brahma alone. Jiva is the embodied soul, the Sharira, one who stays in our body, therefore embodied, individualized Atma, that is Jiva. That Atma and the Paramatma, same, they are the same. Brahma Eva, Eva is like emphasis, it is Brahma alone. And to give you, it is called Ubhaya Vyapti, Anvaya Vyapti and Vyatireka Vyapti. So Vyatirekena api uchyate na aparaha. It is not different from Brahma. When the same thing is stated in a affirmative, assertive mode and negatively also, it becomes doubly established. So this is Thuna Nikhanana Nyaya, doubly established. Dvirbaddham subaddham bhavati. So Jivo Brahmaiva na paraha. Perhaps this, it's difficult to digest. Sant Kabir, he gives you a very, very worldly example. Very worldly example. And I quote Sant Kabir's Doha, Jala mein kumbh mein jala hai, bahar bhitar pani, phuta kumbh, jal hi samana, yah tath kathau gayani. कोई महिला गई है पानी भरने, जल में नदी में कुंभ डाला है, घट डाला है. अब क्या सिचुएशन है? नदी का जल है, नदी में घट डाला है, घट में भी जल भरा है. जल में कुंभ है, कुंभ में भी जल है. बाहर भी पानी है घट के, कुंभ के, और भीतर भी पानी है. समझ में आया? जल में कुंभ, कुंभ में जल है, बाहर भीतर पानी। इमेजिन वो कुंभ फूट गया, किसी का पत्थर लग गया, कुंभ फूट गया, फूटा कुंभ, क्या हुआ? अंदर का जल बाहर के जल में मिक्स हो गया, एक रूप हो गया। फूटा कुंभ जल जल ही समाना। अभी आप उसमें से एक अंजलि पानी ले लो, क्या आप बता सकते हो ये नदी जल है या कुंभ जल है? Can you differentiate between the water once it gets mixed with the whole reservoir of water? The small part is indicative of our bodies. वैसे भी हमारे बॉडी को घट कहा है, घट घट में बसा है राम, isn't it? So इस घट में राम बसा है। ये घट अगर टूट गया तो इस घट में जो चैतन्य है वो चैतन्य बाहर के चैतन्य में एक रूप हो जाएगा। द माइक्रोकॉस्म एंड द मैक्रोकॉस्म, पिंड ब्रह्मांड ऐक्य, दिस इज अद्वैत वेदांत। यही तथ्य है कथौ ज्ञानी, जो ज्ञानी लोगों ने तथ्य कहा है, ये यही तथ्य कहा है। तो ये अद्वैत फिलॉसफी हो गई। अभी उसमें हम देखेंगे हिस्टोरिसिटी, हिस्टोरिकल टेक्स्ट, कौन कौन से टेक्स्ट है जो अद्वैत को प्रतिपादित करते हैं। अभी ये अद्वैत प्रिंसिपल जो है, दिस अद्वैत फिलॉसफी, टू नो दैट वन हैज टू बी एलिजिबल। व्हाट आर द एलिजिबल क्राइटेरिया? See, the eligibility is not uniform. 5 उंगली सरीखी नहीं होती, छोटा बड़ा रहता है उसमें। सो अधिकारी जो है उसमें छोटा बड़ा रहता है। कोई है उत्तमाधिकारी, कोई मध्यमाधिकारी और कोई है अवर अधिकारी। उत्तमाधिकारी के लिए जो टेक्स्ट प्रिस्क्राइब किए हैं वो है ऑल भाष्यस, भाष्य ग्रंथ, टीका ग्रंथ, मैं बताती हूँ कौन से हैं। मध्यम अधिकारी थोड़े बहुत पढ़े हैं, हमारे जैसे है, प्रकरण ग्रंथ, उसके बारे में भी आगे जानेंगे। एंड अवर अधिकारी, कॉमन पीपल, द लेटी, द ले पीपल, they haven't had any opportunity to learn, to go to universities and study and this and that, but they are full of devotion. For them there are stotra granthas. So triple sources of the text, you know. For Uttamadhikari it is prasthanatrayi. Prasthanatrayi, prasthiyate anena iti prasthanam. जिसके जरिए, जिसके द्वारा हम प्रस्थान कर सकते हैं इस जगत से ऊपर उठ के स्वर्गलोक या नरकलोक या अन्य लोक में मृत्यु के पश्चात एस्केटोलॉजिकल साइंस जाते हैं। तो ये प्रस्थान के लिए जो उपयुक्त ग्रंथ है वो 3 प्रकार के हैं। एक है श्रीमद् भगवद गीता, जिसे कहते हैं स्मृति प्रस्थान, because Bhagavad Gita forms a part and parcel of Mahabharata, which is Itihasa and which is considered as a Smriti scripture, not a Shruti. Shruti is the Vedic literature, okay? So Bhagavad Gita, Smriti Prasthana. Upanishad, it is Shruti Prasthana. Upanishads, it is the true Vedanta. Upanishad, Guru के पास बैठकर जो ज्ञान हम प्राप्त करते हैं वो उपनिषद है, वो श्रुति का वरदान है, वेदांत है। और उसमें से निचोड़ कर निकला हुआ बादरायण व्यास जी ने जो सूत्र लिखे हैं, ब्रह्म सूत्र या वेदांत सूत्र, उसे न्याय प्रस्थान कहते हैं। सो स्मृति प्रस्थान, श्रुति प्रस्थान और न्याय प्रस्थान, ये प्रस्थान त्रयी, दिस इज मेंट फॉर उत्तम अधिकारी, जो ज्यादा पढ़े लिखे हैं, जिनकी कैपेसिटी थोड़ी ज्यादा है, वन हु कैन अंडरस्टैंड and realize and can internalize later on. Such intellectual capacitated people are Uttamadhikari. Then comes Madhyamadhikari, people like you and me. For us, there is Prakarana Granthas. Prakarana Granthas, you know, they are basically meant as a dialogue between the Guru and the Shishya. The teacher, the preceptor and his disciples, his students. And for example, the student would ask questions in Vakya Vritti, one of the Prakarana Grantha. There are so many Prakarana Granthas of Acharya. There are so many Prakarana Granthas of other Advaita Acharyas as well. For example, Vakya Vritti is there, Shatashloki, Viveka Chudamani is considered to be the crest jewel, Chudamani, the crest jewel of the Prakarana Granthas, Aparokshanubhuti, Tattva Bodha, Atma Bodha, Hastamalakya Bhashya, so many Prakarana Granthas are there. You know, Vakya Vritti, for example, gives you in a question answer mode, how first of all, even for to know Prakarana, you have to be eligible. Though Madhyamadhikari, you have to be eligible. How is this eligible person? He is, tapatrayarka santaptaha. He is really scorched by the heat of the Trivida tapa, Adi Daivika, Adi Bhautika, Adhyatmika tapa. Udvigna manasaha. He is restless inside. He wants to know something. He is not happy. He is not blissful. Shamadhi sadhanaihi yuktaha. He practices Shamadamadi sadhana shatka and then goes to the Guru. Sadgurum pariprachati. He goes and asks his Guru, Ko Jivaha, who is the Jiva? Kaha Paramatma, who is the Paramatma? Tadatmyam va katham tayo, how they are equal, how there is oneness in these two principles. Tattvamasyadi vakyam va katham tat pratipadayat. How one should interpret the Vedic statements or the four vakyas, Aham Brahmasmi, then Vijnanam Brahma, Tattvamasi, etc. How to interpret all these. So very simple language and easy to understand. In such a simple language, Guru also tells or responds and replies to his queries. The style is demonstrative. It has got lot of worldly examples through which he elucidates the grave fundamentals of Vedanta in a very simple language, in a lucid manner. Most of these, and Avaradhikari, I told you about the Stotra Granthas. I'll come to Prakarana Granthas because while ending up, I will quote a few verses from Viveka Chudamani, the best Prakarana Granthas written by Adi Shankara. Avaradhikari, for the foremost eligible person, there are stotras. The stotras could also be, of various types. For example, some stotras are descriptive, like Narmadashtaka, like Yamunashtaka, like Gangashtaka, Krishnashtaka. They are describing the topic under discussion. Yamunashtaka will describe Yamuna, Krishnashtaka will describe Shri Krishna, like that. Some are devotional, full of devotion, like Shatpadi, Avinayam, Apanaya, Vishnu, So that is like Shatpadi. Or Kanakadhara Stotra, near in Ernakulam district only, there is a place called Suvaranatumana, and there it is believed that Shankaracharya composed this Kanakadhara Stotra and blessed an old woman who had nothing else to offer to Shankaracharya except a dried gooseberry, dried amla. उसके पास कुछ भी नहीं था जब ये भिक्षा के लिए निकले बटू के रूप में उनके उपनयन के बाद उनके घर में कुछ भी नहीं था तो एक सूखा हुआ आमला था वही उन्होंने दे दिया तो शंकराचार्य को बहुत ही दया आई उनके ऊपर और लक्ष्मी की आराधना की उन्होंने कनकधारा स्तोत्र और लक्ष्मी ने बरसाया उनका आंगन पूरा सुवर्ण मुद्राओं से भर गया स्टिल देयर इज दैट टेम्पल आई हैव विजिटेड दैट सुवर्णतुमना वो जो पुराना घर था वो भी मैंने विजिट किया है यू गेट गूज़बम्स when you go to such places. So these are the devotional songs, devotional stotras. Some are like mystic and very deep philosophical meaning. Outwardly they mean something but inwardly they are very deep mystical. For example, Saundarya Lahari, for example, Dakshinamurti Stotra. And some are philosophical, pure and simple, like Manobuddhya Hankara Chitta Ninaham, the Nirvana Shatka, or the Dashashloki Nabhumur Natoyaha, or Manisha Panchaka. These are philosophical in nature. So these are the three types of literature. The historicity of the scriptures dealing with Advaita Vedanta we have covered. And then we come to the last part of this lecture. Viveka Chudamani, I'll tell you how in simple language the core of philosophy, the nature of Atman, the Panchakoshas and everything is reached to us by Shankaracharya. Viveka Chudamani, it says, Avasthatraya Sakshi, Panchakosha Vilakshanaha. Who is Atma? It speaks in just two adjectives he uses, and it speaks volumes. You can take hours to explain this. I don't have that much time. But Avasthatraya, there are three avasthas: Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti. The waking state, the sleep state, the dream state, and the deep sleep state. And then Panchakosha Vilakshanaha. What are the Panchakoshas? The Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, Anandamaya Kosha. These are the 5 koshas talked about in Taittiriya Upanishad. But who is Paramatma? He is Vilakshana. He is different from these. He is different from the 3 avasthas which our embodied soul experiences. I am awake now. Yesterday night I was in deep sleep. Somewhere in the middle, I was on the verge of, on the horizon of the waking and the deep sleep condition, which was a swapna avastha for me. You know, so but my Paramatma, the what macrocosmic Atman is different. Therefore, we call it Brahman. It is neither the man nor the woman. Nastri, na puman, na kumara utava kumari. That is what, therefore Brahman is a neuter gendered word. Atma is a pullinga. Then people may object, why in the women you don't have any word in a feminine gender? Better to use a neuter gendered word, Brahman or Paramatma. This Antaratma, this Purusha, this Brahman is Nirantara Akhanda Sukhanubhuti Sadaikaru Rasarupaha Pratibodhamatraha Yena Ishitaha Vaga Savascharanti. So many good words are there, good verses are there. Unfortunately, we don't have that much time. 2 more speakers, resource people are there. My job is just to give you the key points in the keynote address. So, and all these things, you know, as I said, Prakarana Granthas give you in a worldly example. For example, we say if a mirror is dusty, is filled with dust, you can't see your own reflection. What do you do then? You wipe out it. You wipe out with something, some object, some material. So with jnana, you wipe out the mala, ajnana mala, and the clear mirror image you can see as Paramatman. Okay. Sun is covered by the clouds. Many times, you know, especially in the rainy season, sun is shining with it all its glory, Sahasrarashmi, Chandanshu. But sometimes it gets covered by the dark clouds. Does the luster of the sun really get diminished? Really it becomes less or gets destroyed? Not at all. It's a temporary phase. It appears to be dull when it is covered by the clouds. Our own Satchidananda Brahma Swarupa, our own reality, appears to be dull and veiled because of our ignorance, which is Maya. Ya Ma Sa Maya. That which is not real, it is only an illusion, that is Maya. Water gets covered by Shaivala, by moss. We feel, oh, it's impure water, how can we drink it? You remove the superficial layer of the Shaivala, the moss, and underneath you find crystal clear water. Okay? It's not impure. Water is never impure. It gets impured by the external entities. If the external entities are removed, the water, pure and simple, is available to us. The waves, the bubbles and the ripples, they are They are the same as water. They are not different. But their appearances are different. Their shape is different. Their form is different. The names are different. Nama Rupatmakamidam Jagat. And therefore, to show the vanity of this world, Shankaracharya always uses the word Nama Rupatmakam Jagat. That is, it only varies in names and forms. Take for example gold. Gold is the same. You can make the bangles, the bracelets, the earrings, the malas, and whatnot. These are only the forms, these are only the names which are different, but ultimately it is the same principle of gold. Okay? So Maya Matram Idam Dvaitam, Advaitam Paramarthataha. So Chidaivaikkarasam Vishuddham, that is how Viveka Chudamani says, and to know that what one needs is Manana Nididhyasana. So these are the sadhanas. Shravana, one should listen to the good words. Manana, ponder over this. And the Nididhyasana, single pointed, concentrated effort to internalize whatever you have gathered by Shravana and Manana. So Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana are the means to that. And I'll tell you a little more about the Panchakoshas because this is a very famous, my favorite example, favorite concept. And I always quote, Arundhati Darshana Nyaya, which is quoted by Adi Shankaracharya while explaining this in Anandamaya Adhikarana in the Brahma Sutra Bhashya. There are 5 layers, you see. Annamaya Kosha is the grossest, the most external, the most exterior of the sheath. Then you go inside is Pranamaya. See, the example which he gives is Arundhati Darshana Nyaya. And what is this Arundhati Darshana Nyaya? I'll explain in a little example. Arundhati is a little star. Okay? Arundhati happens to be the wife of sage Vasishtha. Now somebody wants to see the starlight, the twinkling star in the night sky. He can't see it all of a sudden because it's very tiny. So the person who is showing that Arundhati to him, he would show him first the Sthula Tara, the gross star, which is maybe the polar star. Okay? And then the person, the seeker, he sees that, oh, is that Arundhati? Then the guide, the guru, he would say, no, come little southwards. If you have located that pole star, see on the south, come little down, you can see a cluster of stars. There are 7 stars in there. The person says, yes, I can see that. Oh, is that Arundhati? No. In that shape, there is a rectangle and there is a tail-like thing. It's a kite-like star, cluster of stars. Oh, the rectangle is Arundhati. No. Oh, then the tail must be Arundhati. No, Baba. In that tail, there are 3 stars. Concentrate on the middle one. Oh, that is Arundhati. Eureka, I got it. No, that is Vasishtha. And a most tiny star twinkling besides that middle star at the tail of the cluster of the 7 stars, Saptarshi, is Arundhati. This is the research methodology. This is the process of learning from outermost layer to the innermost layer, from the gross to the subtle, from exterior to the interior. This is how we travel and we go to the core. From Annamaya Brahma, we say Annam Brahmeti Vyajanat. Oh, Anna is Brahma. Then the guru takes you little inward, Pranamaya Brahma. Then Prano Brahma, little inside, Mano Brahmeti Vyajanat. Then Vijnanam Brahma, still inside. And then Anando Brahma, Anandamaya Kosha. People feel, oh, Anandamaya is Brahman. Shankaracharya goes a step ahead. That is the difference between Shankaracharya and all other acharyas. All other acharyas feel that Anandamaya is Brahman. Shankaracharya says Anandamaya is not Brahman. Ananda is Brahman. Mayat, this suffix, is Vikara. Mayat suffix gives you prachurya, abundance, but that doesn't deny the anandasya abhava, the dukkha. And ananda, pure and simple, is pure and simple bliss. That is what Brahman is. There is not even an iota of ignorance, even an iota of unhappiness or sorrow in Brahman. And therefore, Ananda Brahma. So that is how Shankara differentiates himself from the other acharyas, and that is the greatness of Shankaracharya. I just come to an end because I think my time gets over now, 12 o'clock. So I would rather end up by saying that Shankaracharya, despite his sannyasa dharma, we can't really say that he has preached Nivritti Marga to all. I would rather say he has preached Pravritti Marga despite he being a sannyasi himself. How? He established the 4 mathas in the 4 corners, the 4 directions of India to revive, to preserve and to protect the Sanatana Dharma and our scriptures. He started the Panchayatana Puja. He established the Shanmata Sthapana Acharyaya Shankaraya Shanmata Sthapana. What is that Shanmata? It is Shaiva Mata, Vaishnava Mata, Shakta Mata, Saura Mata, Ganapatya and Kaumara. The society was split in the worship of these 6 different deities. आपस में नहीं बनती थी उनकी. शैव एंड वैष्णव में झगड़ा होता था, वैष्णव और शाक्त में झगड़ा है, सौर और कौमार में झगड़ा है. क्यों झगड़ा करते हो भाई? षण्मत स्थापना, ये षण्मतों की स्थापना करना चाहते. दिस इज द एसिमिलेटिव ट्रेन. दिस इज इन फैक्ट द लोक सद्गुरुम शंकरम नमाम्यहम, a truly a rejuvenator of the Sanatana Dharma, because his only aim was, to bless the people and to guide them throughout, through this worldly existence, and really bless them with the teaching, with the principles of Advaita Vedanta, which would really benefit and favor them. Viveka Chudamani's last verse I will end with. Samsaradhvani tapa bhanu kiranat prodbhuta dahavyatha Chinna nam jalakankshaya marubhuvi bhrantya paribhramyatam Atya sanna sudam buddhim sukhakaram brahmadvayam darshayanti Esha shankara bharati vijayate nirvana sandayini. Let this speech of Shankaracharya, victorious, who is going to confer on you nirvana, that is moksha. It shows you the advayatva with Brahma. It is sukhakara, it is pleasing. Why? Because it is like an ocean of nectar for the person who is wandering here and there, all thirsty in search of water, and here and there, where? What is the location? It is Marubhumi. It is Tapabhanu Kiranat Prodbhuta Dahavyatha Chinnanam Jalakankshaya Marubhuvi Bhrantya Paribhramyata. He is wandering here and there in search of water in the Marubhumi, and there comes Shankaracharya with the ocean of nectar in the form of the words of his so many texts. Isn't it relevant even today? I just wish all of you should have at least a drop of this Sudhamrita, and we are blessed even with a Ambupana of a Bindupana. Even a drop of this nectar is going to take us across this worldly samsara. So thank you, especially all the department heads and the principal of DAV College, and especially Sarika, who was in touch with me, who contacted me, and who insisted that I should be available on this. In fact, today I had a visit planned, but then it did not happen somehow or the other. I was going to be traveling from Mumbai here. But then it didn't happen. I think Sarika's wish superseded my wish. So this is Shankaracharya's wish, I feel. And I salute you all and I wish you all the best. And I wish earnestly that at least a drop of this we should be eligible to drink. Namo Namaha. Dhanyavada.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for such illuminated talk. You, I'm sure, tempted many of us today to explore more into the philosophy and reach the Ananda Brahma. Now I open the house for questions. We can take 1 or 2 questions given the time constraint. You can please type in your question if you have any or you want to interact with ma'am. The house is open to the audience. Do we have any questions? I'm sure everyone is so overwhelmed, ma'am, with the kind of knowledge you...
I would quote from Dakshinamurti Stotra. Dakshinamurti Stotra is a very unique one. He says, the Guru is Yuva. Chitram Batataror Mule. Vruddha Shishya Guru Yuva. Here I am not Yuva, but I am Yuva Taruna because I am still a student. Okay? In that sense, I am Yuva. So, Chitram Batataror Mule. Vruddha Shishya Guru Yuva. Gurostu Maunam Vyakhyanam Shishya Chinna Samshaya. When there are no questions, there are only 2 possibilities. One thing is, nobody understood anything, not even a word of it. Or they are really Chinna Samshaya, all their doubts are really clear. So I hope I would go for the second one.
Ma'am, we have a question from Sahil Narula. He says, see, Advaita is so simple. Why then we need to ponder over it so much?
Because it is not easily digestible, isn't it? But can you really digest the thing that you and me we live in duality? How can we digest Advaita? We can't digest Advaita. I always say Shankaracharya's Advaita is easy to understand but difficult to follow. Ramanujacharya's Vishishta Advaita is very difficult to follow because he uses a very Prauda Bhasha, very difficult Sanskrit language, but easy to practice, easy to follow. That is the difference. We can't follow Advaita. We can understand Advaita. And therefore, we have to ponder over it. Every time we have to, हमारे मन को हमें बताना चाहिए हर बार कि हम और ये एक ही है, हम और ये एक ही, हमें कोई अंतर नहीं है. हमें वास करने वाला परमात्मा एक ही है. जैसे अलग एक ही जैसे so this is the room now. This is a ghatakasha patakasha example from the shastras. मठाकाश. कोई मठ है मतलब कोई वास्तु है, कोई इमारत है, बिल्डिंग है. यहाँ आकाश है. There is empty space over there. You take a glass, there is space in that. You take a jar, there is space in that. So all these are different spaces. You can't say that they are different. They are one because they are bound by upadhi, adjuncts, different adjuncts. One is a glass, one is a ghata, one is like जैसा एक फैला हुआ कुछ कपड़ा है, उसमें भी ether है, उसमें भी space है. So to follow that is different. It is very difficult, and therefore, though it is simple, you have to ponder over it. बड़े बड़े पहुंचे हुए लोग भी अभी द्वैत में रहते हैं. अद्वैत समझाना ठीक है, सिखाना ठीक है, फॉलो करना कठिन है.
I hope, Sahil, your question is answered. Thank you so much, ma'am. I think there are no more questions, but we have a lot of positive response from the audience, so I'm sure the audience has benefited much.
Thank you
now
for all this response.
You're most welcome, ma'am. Now I invite Dr. Anupal from the Department of Hindi to introduce our first resource person for the day, Dr. Shivani Thakur. Sir.
Hello. Thank you, Isha ma'am. हमारे आमंत्रित वक्ता हैं शिवानी ठाकुर मैम। विगत 15 सालों से अंग्रेजी भाषा के ट्रेनर के रूप में, अंग्रेजी भाषा के अध्यापिका के रूप में मैम काम कर रही हैं। सबसे पहले ICFAI कॉलेज जलंधर में इन्होंने एज एन असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर कम्युनिकेशन स्किल, प्लेसमेंट कोऑर्डिनेटर, ट्रेनर सॉफ्ट स्किल एंड इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज के रूप में काम किया। उसके बाद प्रतिष्ठित LPU यूनिवर्सिटी जलंधर में अंग्रेजी भाषा के असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर के रूप में काम किया। वर्तमान में मैम एज एन एग्जीक्यूटिव डायरेक्टर रमाया वर्ल्ड स्कूल देहरा गोपीपुर में कार्यरत हैं। अध्यापक के रूप में और एक ट्रेनर के रूप में अंग्रेजी भाषा के प्रति भ्रांतियों, संदेह, भय को दूर करने में मैडम बहुत ही ज़्यादा कार्यशील हैं। कई तरह की प्रस्तुतियाँ अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर, राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर ये दे चुकी हैं। कई पत्र वाचन ये कई अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर कर चुकी हैं। अंग्रेजी भाषा के प्रति उनका जो ये भाव है कि बच्चों को अंग्रेजी भाषा से डर ना होकर एक भाषा के प्रति आत्मविश्वास की भावना जागे, इसके लिए वो कार्यशील हैं। इस समय PhD भी इनकी चल रही है। अध्यापक रूप में इन्होंने MA डेजिग्नेशन सोशल क्लॉज सर्टिफिकेशन इन रूपा बाजवा सारी शॉप, इस पे काम चल रहा है। और ट्रेनिंग कोर्सेज भी इन्होंने कई स्थानों पर FDP में लगाए हैं। एज ए रिसोर्स ट्रेनर भी ये कई स्थानों पर जा चुकी हैं। मैम, बड़े ही सम्मान के साथ मैं आपको आमंत्रित करता हूँ आपके वक्तव्य के लिए। डॉक्टर शिवानी ठाकुर जी।
Namaskar, and thank you, sir, for such an elevated description and introduction. And yes, it is an opportunity, it is a privilege to be among a so learned person. I'm so overwhelmed with Dr. Gauri ma'am. I mean, it was such an enlightening talk. I'm not even closer to that, but still I'll try to I'll try to share what I know about this Advaita philosophy. First of all, it is Shri Shankaracharya's Jayanti tomorrow, so such a privilege to be able to speak on one of his book, that is Saundarya Lahari, and I wish that all of us are able to imbibe, all of us are able to get the grip of what he is trying to say. Am I audible? So, beginning with the talk, it is about, first of all, I'll talk about myself. Taking a book, taking a holy book in hand and then reading it, and then talking about it is a big thing. These days we see that we treat, most of us in household treat Bhagavad-Gita, Ramayana, Ramcharitmanasa as one of the holy books which has to be kept in the temple and should not be touched with dirty hands. And in keeping them intact, we get so much dirt on the books. So my first thing is that these books should be treated as books first and should be taken in hand and should be read, should be imbibed and taken right in the spirit for which they are written. Now, coming to the book, coming to what we are talking today, that is Advaita philosophy and Advaita. What I understand Dvaita as, for this I would love to give a question to the audience, and if audience is listening, they can note it down and get me the answer. My question is, when we talk about Dvaita, the statement is, if you could answer me, what is that which is in two that exists? Now, what is that which is in two which exists? In this statement, what is most important to understand is, when I'm talking about two, what do I understand by two, right? That is most important part to be understood. And the second one is that what is that which exists in two but still is one? That is Advaita. So if we understand these two statements, I think we will be able to understand, we will be somewhere near to Dvait philosophy and Advait philosophy. So when I say what is that which is in two that exists, two means I, you, we are, I mean, this is two identity, two entity. Now, what is that which is existing in two of us, right? That is Siddhanta of Dvait, I and Sansara. The second one is, what is that which exists in two but still is one? That is Advait. That means there exists, the Dvait says there exists no two, and Advait says there exists only one. So now if I go deeper into Advaita, that means there exists only one. That means in everything of the world, whether it is living or non-living, there is existing something which is beyond comprehension, and that is existing in everything, almost everything. If it is non-living, if you touch your laptop, if you have your phone in hand, everything which is around you, it carries that, we call it as a spandan or vibration, it carries that vibration. So what is that vibration? That is something which we call as Parashakti or Parbrahma Parameshwar. Now, this is something about which Saundarya Lahari is all about, that Parashakti and Parbrahma Parameshwar. It says that it is only she, it is only Shakti, it is only Adi Shakti which is existing and nothing else. So, when Adi Guru Shankaracharya, he talks about Adi Shakti, he is a complete devotee to Adi Shakti. He says that nothing in the world is real, it is only you who exist. Now, that is Advaita. Now, this Advaita, in this book, Saundarya Lahari, Advaita reaches to a culmination when Guru Shankaracharya, he becomes one with that identity, one with that entity about which he is talking about. He is talking about Parashakti, and he imbibes it so immensely, so completely, that he is one with that entity. That is somewhere we call ourselves as Aham Brahmasmi. My learned colleagues can correct me if as and when needed. So that is we call as Aham Brahmasmi. So something that is Adi Guru Shankaracharya, he is talking in Saundarya Lahari. Now, when I talk about the book, this is one of the best book which talks about which is written in verses, and it has yantras also involved in it. We can approach this book Saundarya Lahari in two ways. One is verses. Verses means there are poetic verses written, and every verse is exuberance, is oozing exuberance out of it. That means it is such a state, it is written in such a state where we are at the epitome of experience. When I am when I am completely in the grip of experience, we are writing it then. So that is how Saundarya Lahari is written. And to understand it in another way, there are yantras given. That is a kind of mathematical expression. That is a kind of mathematical expression of the same verses. Now, how is it related to Advaita? That is what we will be discussing gradually. It is, now if I can do the screen sharing. I think screen sharing. Okay. Happening, not happening. Now, I'll begin with this way only. Screen sharing is not taking place right now. So, beginning with his first Saundarya Lahari's first shloka, where Adi Guru Shankaracharya, he is a complete devotee. He becomes complete devotee to Adi Shakti. He praises her for everything which is existing in the world and which is there in the world. He says, Lord Shiva only becomes able to do creation in the world along with Shakti. Without her, even an inch of he cannot move. And
Excuse me, ma'am. Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, you can share your screen. There's an option at the bottom. If you can't, you can share your PPT with us and we'll share the screen for you.
Right, that is possible. Should I send it through mail?
Ma'am, should we take it on mail? You can WhatsApp it to Sarika, ma'am.
Right, I'll do that, ma'am.
Yeah, okay, ma'am. Thank you.
I'll take a minute in that.
Sure, ma'am.
Okay.
Take your time.
Ma'am, it is taking time, and in the meanwhile, I'll talk about it. Right, as soon as it gets connected, I'll share my content, and that is how it can be given on the screen. I am a bit, new to the technology of screen sharing, so
It's okay, ma'am.
Okay, right. So I was on the first shloka, which is there in the Saundarya Lahari, where Adi Guru Shankaracharya. First of all, let us understand this very aspect of Adi Shakti and the Parameshwari, which he is talking about. He is talking about the one who is beyond everything, and which cannot be comprehended in any of the way. And she is the one who's surviving in the world, who's surviving the world, and because of her, everything is there. He is directly talking about her, and he surrenders himself completely in her feet, and he says that it is your nectar because of which I am living and everything in the world is living. He talks about many things in the book, and in everything which he is talking about, he is only praising and praising the if I call it a femininity, it would be too less to talk about that. His Parashakti, Adi Shakti is one of the best. I have shared the PPT, ma'am. Is the best connotation for it. So when he is talking about her, he is saying, I'll not take the literal, all the shlokas of Saundarya Lahari, but a few of them he surrenders. He addresses him as a mother somewhere. He addresses him as her as a mother, and he says that it is you, goddess, because of which it is Shiva who is able to do anything. Because without you, there is nothing possible in the world. Without you, nobody will be able to do anything. So it reads as, Lord Shiva only becomes able to do creation in this world along with Shakti. Without her, even an inch cannot move. And so how can one who does not do good deeds, or one who does not sing your praise, becomes adequate to worship you, O goddess mine, who is worshipped by the Trinity? Now here, what is the most important to understand is that he is saying, O goddess of mine. In the beginning only, he is not saying it is you different and it is I different. It is goddess of mine. That means you are in me. I am beginning with that you are in me, you are mine. He refers her as a consort of Shiva and says that thy consort, that your husband, it is like your husband Shiva. He is there, and he refers to him as the one who has destroyed 3 cities, right? He is giving complete respect to the person, but referring Adi Shakti as you are mine. I mean, I'm surrendering in your, I'm yours and you are mine. There is no two existing here. So this is Advaita, that you are mine. And then now he is talking about her, that it is because of you that Shiva is able to do something. Otherwise, otherwise without you, nothing is possible. It is you because of which Hari is able to preserve, Brahma is able to do creation. Anybody who's masculine is able to do something because of you are existing in her. Here, when I have given this statement, anybody who's masculine is able to do something because of you, is a big statement which is written in the last, when he says that there is one of the shloka in Saundarya Lahari where he says that all the 3 destroys, all the 3 cities, Hari somewhere dissolves, Shiva somewhere dissolves, Brahma somewhere dissolves, and the Shivanand who appears and disappears after destroying all these 3 also dissolves. Then what remains is Chidanand bliss, right? That Chidanand bliss in that Purusha is you. That means you are beyond even that Shiva. You are the one who is beating in Shiva, and that is what I said in the beginning, that this is the vibration. He says that you are everything. This is the vibration. You are beating in Shiva. So you are beyond even those 3. He calls it as now next is he says that there are, as we call as these 3 states, that is Jagriti, Swapna and Sushupti. We call that wakefulness, dream and dream state, and Sushupti, that is deep sleep. That he says in Jagrit, it is, yes ma'am, thank you so much. I will be able to scroll it up. I don't think it is visible. Okay. So he says that there are these 3 states. Now Parashakti, it is only he's praising. Today we are sitting here. If I ask anybody that what are the ways that you can praise? You can surrender to God and still say it is you everywhere. It is not me. When I dissolve this statement that it is not the other one, it is only me, and he is existing in me, that is Advaita. When the 2 becomes 1, that is Advaita. Now, yes, now it is visible. Thank you. Could you please shift to the next one? I'm not able to. Yes, thank you, ma'am. The English version. I am not able to speak that Sanskrit. The English version, ma'am. Yes. Now in the next shloka, he says, using the nectar that flows between your feet to drench all the nerves of the body, and descending from the moon with nectar-like rays, reaching back to your place, and coiling your body into rising serpent, and you Kulakunda with a hole in the middle. Now he is addressing a women body and talking about it, and with such a dignity and grace that that everything is just flowing out of his mouth. I read somewhere that it is called as Utpatti. Utpatti means something which happens to somebody, and this is how we call that Veda Vyasa, the Mahabharata, and all the text, all the Vedas are written. So this is also one of the Utpatti, which is called to be happened to Adi Guru Shankaracharya. So he is writing that it is that everything, even that nectar, that moon also take nectar from you, and descending the moon, everything takes value from you. If it is moon, it is shining with the luster because of you, and it is reaching back to your place. You are taking it back, you are giving everything to everything, and ultimately it is you who is doing it. So, and here it is, he is very very clear in saying, when he says that you rest in the Kulakunda with a hole in the middle. So he is speaking about everything, and with the dignity and graceful way, and he is saying that yes, I know about you, but taken back mode. There is one shloka here where he addresses, where he says that, you are, as a Parashakti, you are so important that to Lord Shiva, that, when you come to him, when you run to him, he says that, he wants you, don't accept Brahma's crown, don't you accept Indra's this, don't you accept anybody's, you need to directly to come to me. He is also somewhere insecure, and he says that you only, somewhere is feeling that it should not happen that you divert your direction. You should directly come to me. So this is how Shiva is asking, Shiva is praying you. Now, in one of the verses, he has written that even Hari, even, in the last Adi Guru Shankaracharya, he writes that you, mother of mine, everybody is jealous today. Those who worship your mother, so learned and rich, that even Brahma and Vishnu are jealous of them. They are so handsome. What even the wife of Cupidrati yearns for them, unbound from the ties of this birth, ways enjoys ecstatic happiness and lives forever. He says that everybody is jealous of thee. You are so full, you are so exuberant, you are blessed by yourself, that people are jealous of thee, and they want to rest in your feet. This is how Saundarya Lahari moves. Can I get to the next verse? Next verse, ma'am. The next verse, he says, it is not surprising to know, O mother, what does not have birth and death, and who is most suitable to be served, that the destroying of fire of deluge shows prayerful hierarchy to the one who considers you, who is of the form of rays and surrounds all of four sides by angels of power called anima. So he is again saying that, oh my mother, you are beyond that birth and death, and who is most suitable to be served and destroying the fire of deluge. You are the one because of whom the fire of ignorance gets destroyed. If we talk about in form, what we worship as deities, these are all forms, and we call them Das Mahavidya, which exist in the form of the similar, which he is talking about, not in form. That Par Brahma Parameshwari Adi Shakti, he is talking about exist in the form as Brahmacharani, Shalaputri. So when he is talking about that is the weapon of destroying ignorance. So it is you who is destroying ignorance. So he says, it is because of you that we are able to destroy our ignorance, and you are the one who is beyond this birth and death. So I worship and I worship you. I surrender in your feet. Throughout the book, what is more important is to see that it is his bhav, his his expression, which is very important, because important to be considered, because he is expressing his exuberance. Every word which is there in the Saundarya Lahari, that is his exuberance and expressing a state of ecstasy by itself. If we get to read it, it is a complete ecstatic state which he is talking about and he says, it is because of you that I am able to express myself. Now, when he says that I am able to express myself because of you, it is one of the shloka. He is very clear in expressing himself. Thine two long eyes, O goddess, are like the two little bees which want to drink the honey, and extended to the ends with the pretense of side glance to thine two ears, which are bent upon drinking the honey from the flower bunch of poems presented by your devotees, and make thine third eye light purple with jealousy and envy. He is now praising her and saying that your ears, your eyes are, it are expression of exuberance by itself. He says it is the Adi Shakti which is everything for him, and I as a devotee wish to surrender completely in thy feet. Now, this is how throughout the book Saundarya Lahari he is talking. Now, in one of the shlokas he says, Brahma, the god born out of lotus, afraid of the nails of Shiva, who killed the asura called Andhaka, which has clipped of one of his heads, praises with four faces your four pretty tender hands resembling the lotus flower stalk. So, one of the important another aspect in the book which can be noticed is that he addresses her as a mother goddess, and he is praising her form as well as not in form, both the ways. He's praising her face, he's praising her eyes, praising her limbs. He talks about her humble breasts. So he's talking about her, and he's praising her extensively. Now, if we try to figure out one of the most important thing in this Saundarya Lahari, if we try to figure out that which one is the bhav, what is the emotion he is talking about, so that is the pure emotion which he call in the end as Chidananda bliss by itself, which he says it is Parashakti. So this is Parashakti which is binding both of them, and ultimately he is going back into, he is experience her in himself. In the last shlokas where he says, O mother mine, what shall I, who begs for knowledge, be able to drink the nectar like water flowing from your feet, mixed with reddish egg applied there? When shall that water attain the goodness of saliva mixed with Thambala from mouth of goddess of learning, which made one born as mute into the kings of poet? He is expressing her his gratitude again to her, that it was you who showered your blessings on me, and I was able to be born as a poet. The one who is not able to utter a single thing is poetic, has become poetic in nature. That is all because of you. So, next, again, he says, which I discussed earlier, that he says that it is, these are the gods who are jealous. Because of your existence is so powerful. It is your existence which is so powerful that gods are jealous, and even Rati, who is the most beautiful one, is jealous of thy existence, and they want to know how are you, what are you exactly. So that is what he is speaking in his verses. In the last shloka, that is 100th verse, he says that, O goddess, who is source of all words, that now if I am speaking, I have spoken something, that the source is that goddess only, Adi Shakti only, who has spoken through me. So most of time when we were talking about ahankara, that this is I am doing, right? That is I am doing when dissolves to completely that this is something somebody, it is not again somebody, that it was Ishvara doing through me. When I become the medium and Ishvara becomes the functional one in me, then we say that, then exactly is the state when we say that Aham Brahmasmi. I am the one who is there. That is a philosophy of Advaita also, that I am the one with the one, Aham Brahmasmi. Now he says that it is Ahankara which dissolves in the last. Throughout the verses, he has attempted to dissolve the Ahankara, that it is you, it is you, it is you, it is you who is doing it, who is the prominent and source of everything. Ultimately, the focus, the try is all that I dissolve myself. If I look into the matter through the glasses of contemporary society, that is what all of us are trying to get rid of. That is ahankara, that is ego, we call that. This is me, right? I am this, I am that, and this is not. Somewhere when we want to get rid of it, we try to go to pubs, we try to get addicted to drugs, we do so many other things just to dissolve this I, and to become one with our true nature. True nature, now when I talk about this word true nature means the true prakriti. True nature means the one which we have got from the Ishvara. That is what is one in everybody. That is now Advaita again. So that is one with everybody, and but is true nature. Somewhere in the materialistic world, when we put our foot in, we tend to forget that. We tend to go away from that, because material needs are also important. We need to live in the samsara and we need to fulfill our material things. So when we tend to go away from our true nature, ahankara, it emerges, it evolves, and then we are not able to realize who we exactly are. So this book, Saundara Lahari, is one of the functional book which tries to remind us through its verses time and again that it is not I who is doing something, it is God functional through me. Now this is not an easy concept to imbibe. It is God functional through functioning through me. That means I should be away, I should be accepting every duality as it is, papa punya, such jhoot, everything which we live with in the society, true, false, this is pap, this is punya, this is yash, apyash, man, apaman. How can I go away? This is somebody has spoken something to me, it is rude, it is not good. That is the beginning where there the sanskara starts sprouting up, that this is me. How can somebody say something to me? So Saundara Lahari and all other books which are written by Shri Adi Guru Shankaracharya ji, they are talking about that this is him, this is Adi Shakti. Saundara Lahari, specifically when I'm talking about it, he says it is you who is the source of everything. I surrender myself in your feet. That happens first, and then she takes over. That bliss takes over its place. It is what he says that it is. I would love to read that when he says that Shivananda, not even Shivananda, you are much ahead of all of them. I hope I get to know that. get to read that. Nah. Okay, fine. So here there was one when he says, which I discussed in the beginning, that it is Hari, Brahma and Shiva, even they also deluge. They also take refuge. They also take Shireen. They also take refuge in your feet. They dissolve. And when, Shiva somewhere is referred as Tripurari. Tripurari means the one who has destroyed 3 cities. That means he is the fourth one, Shivananda. So when he also disappears, what remains is the bliss, and that is you. So ultimately, it is, if I understand that we all say that Shiva and Shakti. Shiva is nothing without Shakti. This is what he is explaining, but he has removed Shiva as saying that he is thy consort who has destroyed 3 cities out of that, and he says it is you now, and I am there. He does not speak, he does not utter and mention this word I. It is you existing everywhere. So ultimately, when I would like to conclude, I would like to express that it is duality. Ultimately, all of us are longing for one thing, and that is oneness. Oneness with ourselves, oneness with our true nature, oneness with what we exactly are, oneness with what we have got from God. This body is materialistic, will dissolve again in the world, but what remains is that spirit, that touch of truth, which will remain in the world as it is. So I should be one with that one true nature of me, and that is bliss, which is there in everybody, right? So ultimately he resolves by saying he does not take any credit on himself, because again that will evolve a sanskar of ahankara. So he says, this is all because of you. This is all because of you that I am able to write. Now we can take it in any spirit. This is all because of you that I am able to write. This is all because of you that I am able to express myself. And what, O Goddess, he says, O Goddess, who is the source of all words, his poems which made of words that you only made, like showing the camphor lamp to the sun. Now he's saying it is all because of you, and all my words which I have created while praising you, it is like, showing camphor to the sun. It is like embellition to the moon. It is from the moonstone. So it is so meager. I mean, your entity is so big. It is so meager to talk about you even. Because, we say it is one of, we cannot even talk about the Parmeshwara. So it is all meager, and ultimately I take again refuge in thy feet. This is in Adi Shakti. So this was all in my piggy today about the Saundarya Lahari, the book which I wondered that how had he written, because in such an exuberant state, I also write somewhere poems in such an exuberant state, and to be able to be so balanced in the verses is actually a very difficult thing. And his all verses, every verse is fire is a volcano in itself, and it has no less energy than what is a living being have. Saundarya Lahari is a living book. If we actually want to become one with our true nature, with our emotion, we want to realize that who exactly we are, we must read at least 1 or 2 pages of it. It will be helpful. Reading does not take much time, as I begin with the books first, that it's only that Gita, Mahabharata and Ramcharitmanas are kept on the shelf so that we can pray to them. Books are the living entities, and we must go through them once. Easy books can be taken, and then, this is how, somewhere deep inside we would realize who we are, and that is Advaita again. I am one with myself. That means I am one with myself. There remains no two. Dvayat. So that is ultimately everybody's aim and goal is. All the philosophies of Sanatana leads to that one goal, and that is liberation, mukti from desires. That means I become one with my true nature. So it is all there. So thank you very much, and I really thank Madam Sarika, and she could figure me out of. I mean, this was such a meeting where Advaita was to be talked about, and she could figure me out to be able to speak on this topic. Thank you so much, and thank you all the participants who are present here. Thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Do we have any questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. I hope you all enjoyed the talk and you all were introduced to a very new text, which we I think had not even heard of. Thank you, Shivani ma'am,
Thank
for
you.
all the enlightening words. Yeah. So now I invite Ms. Sunidhi from the Department of English to introduce the second resource person for today, Ms. Shri Ranjini Vardarajan. Sunidhi.
Excuse me, Shrinditi ma'am, we are not audible. Ma'am, you're not audible, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, now you're audible. Yeah, thank you.
I feel privileged to welcome Shri Ranjini Vardarajan. She has done BSc in Applied Sciences and MCA from the Central University, Hyderabad. She worked as a software developer in Siemens Public Communications Network Limited. And she also worked as a software engineer in Silverline Technologies and as a project manager in CSC Hyderabad and engineering manager in GE Hyderabad Technology Center. And I heartily welcome you, ma'am, in today's webinar. Now it's over to the ma'am, Shri Ranjini Vardarajan.
Thank you, madam, for your kind introduction. Am I audible now?
Yes, yeah, ma'am, you're audible.
Yeah. Namaste, everyone. As madam introduced, I worked in software industry for more than 10 years. I'm a housewife now. I developed interest in scriptures and doing self-study for the past 5 years. Mahatmas from different institutions like Chinmaya Mission, Ramakrishna Mutt, Arsha Vidya Gurukulam, they have made their scriptural teachings available on public platforms like YouTube. I have benefited immensely by their teaching. I take this opportunity to express my gratitude to all teachers. I am going to share a PPT now. Okay. I thank you all for the opportunity to participate in the event. Let us begin with a short prayer. Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Guru Paramparam. The topic for the session is significance of Shankaracharya's commentary on the Gita. What is Gita? It is Moksha Shastram. Moksha means freedom or liberation. Are we in bondage now that we have to be liberated? Let us explore. As human beings, we are always in the grip of kama, desire. We fulfill a desire, it reappears in the form of lobha, greed. We want more and more, never satisfied. Say, we suppress a desire. This time, it reappears in the form of krodha, anger. Anger at people or situation because of which we are not able to fulfill the desire. Thus, in one form or the other, kama always controls us. Bhagavan Krishna says in the Gita, Trividham narakasyedam dvaram nashanam atmanaha kama krodhastatha lobhaha tasmadetattrayam tyajet. He says, kama, krodha and lobha are the threefold gateway to hell and one should get rid of them. But how to get rid of them? They control us and we don't seem to have any control over them. Most of us would be familiar with Durga Saptashati. There are 3 stories in the work. The second one is about how Mahishasura was killed by Devi Mahalakshmi. During the war, the Asura appeared in various forms: bull, lion, man, elephant, etc. Every time he was defeated by Devi but not killed. Finally, when he showed his original form, he was killed by Devi. Similarly, we cannot get rid of kama as it keeps reappearing in different forms. We need to find out the original form or root of kama and eliminate it. I am the small body-mind complex and outside me is the vast world. Because of this I and non-I division, I prefer to call it subject-object division, there is a sense of limitation. It is called ego. I feel incomplete. I try to make me complete by acquiring more and more from the world. But have we ever questioned the reality of subject-object division? Common sense tells us that wherever we see division or plurality, there must be an underlying undivided oneness. A few examples here to support the reasoning. It's easy to see that space is the underlying reality of east, west, north, south division. Similarly, water is the underlying reality of waves. Gold is the truth of bangle, ring, necklace, etc. Space, water, and gold in the examples are absolute, and the plurality or division supported by them is relative. What is absolute and what is relative? Absolute has independent existence. On the other hand, objects at relative plane depend on the absolute for their existence. Gold has independent existence, but bangle, ring, and necklace do not enjoy independent existence. Can we have bangle separate from the substance gold? No. Will the name bangle and the form, the round shape, independently have any meaning without the substance gold? No. That's why it is called relative. Okay, the examples are clear. Now we need to find out the underlying reality of subject-object division. Subject-object division is always in the form of thoughts. I see a flower, a corresponding thought arises in the mind. Seer I is the subject and seen flower is the object of the thought. I eat food, eater I is the subject and eaten food is the object of the thought. What is the underlying reality of thoughts? It is consciousness, the sense of being. It is called pure consciousness. Why pure? Though it supports subject-object division, it itself is one undivided whole existence. That is why it is called pure consciousness. This pure consciousness is known by different terms in the scriptures. These terms are interchangeably used. it is better to know the important ones listed here. Pure consciousness. Why pure? It is not, I am conscious of something. It is consciousness itself. Consciousness is absolute, and conscious of indicates the relative field, where there is a division between subject and object. Similarly, pure awareness. It is not, I am aware of something. It is awareness itself. Pure knowledge. Again, there is no knower known division. Hence, pure. Chaitanyam, Chit, and Jnanam are the Sanskrit terms for consciousness, awareness, and knowledge. Brahman, it means the truth of everything. That means the truth of both subject and object. This term is frequently used in scriptures. From now on, I'll use this term Brahman. Okay, we understand that Brahman is the truth of everything. Now what? What is the use of knowing about absolute and relative realities? Let us go back to the gold ornaments example. I asked the bangle, what are you? And it says, I am bangle. It identifies with a name and form when it says so. Identifying with a name and form automatically divides it from the rest of the names and forms. Ring, necklace, etc. There is no way to come out of this division. So there is always sense of limitation and hence desires. This is bondage. What if the bangle says, I'm gold? Which is correct? I'm bangle or I'm gold? Both are correct in their respective plane of realities. But when the identification is with gold, it transcends the relative plane and abides in the absolute. Here, there is no division and hence no sense of limitation and no desires. This is liberation. Similarly, when I identify with my body-mind complex and say, I am so and so, I am automatically divided from the rest of the world. Hence, there is sense of limitation and desires as we saw before. This is bondage. But if I transcend the body-mind complex and claim Brahman as my true nature, I am ever liberated. I don't have to do anything to overcome limitation. I just need to know that in my true nature, Brahman, there is no limitation at all. I am ever complete, ever fulfilled. Transcending does not mean intellectually understanding that I am Brahman. It means actually being Brahman. I give a few examples here. When I say I'm angry, there is identification with body-mind complex. I am still in the relative plane. But when I am aware of anger arising in the mind, in other words, when I witness anger arising in the mind, I clearly see anger separate from me. I have transcended the relative and am one with Brahman, the absolute. Similarly, when I say I see a flower, there is identification with body-mind complex. I am still in the relative plane. Then I may or may not like the flower. If I like it, I may want to pluck it and keep it with me. But if I'm simply aware of seeing, I have transcended the relative and am one with Brahman. In this case, seeing will not be followed by liking, plucking, etc. When I identify with emotions like anger, then I'll unconsciously react to situations. Note the term react. But when I am conscious of emotion arising in the mind, the right response, note the term response, comes from within. I may simply watch the anger till it subsides. Or if the situation demands, I may even use the anger as a weapon and drop it later. Those who are liberated are also called the wise or the enlightened or jnani. The jnanis from different traditions of the world have sung and recorded their experience of oneness. In Sanatana Dharma, they are called Upanishad Rishis. Upanishad means the highest truth, and Rishis are the ones who have the vision, the darshan of this highest truth. It is difficult for the common man to understand the Upanishads as they are abstract. It takes another Rishi who can also come down to our level to unlock the songs and make us experience the same oneness. This is how we have a teaching parampara, tradition. Vyasa Maharshi is an important link in the parampara. By writing the Bhagavad-Gita, he has brought the highest teaching of the Upanishads to the common man. Shankaracharya's commentary on the Bhagavad-Gita plays a significant role in holistic understanding of the Gita. In this session, I'm going to highlight a few points. Philosophy of the Gita. We say that Vyasa Maharshi brought the Upanishads to the common man in the form of the Gita. That means the Gita verses should be interpreted and understood only in the light of Upanishads. But not everyone agrees. Not everyone takes Upanishads as a valid source of knowledge, pramanam. There are many schools of philosophy that try to arrive at the truth of everything by mere reasoning. And they all arrive at different things as the ultimate truth. And they all interpret the verses of the Gita in line with their conclusions. How can the ultimate truth be many? Who is right? Shankaracharya establishes in his commentary that the Upanishad Rishis are indeed right. While others stop at the level of reasoning and arrive at something, the Rishis transcend the domain of intellect and reasoning and are one with the truth, as we saw a while ago. Brahmavid Brahmaiva Bhavati says Mundakopanishad. It means one can know the absolute truth only by being the absolute truth. So, if the Gita should teach the ultimate truth, it should be carefully interpreted in the light of Upanishads only. And Shankaracharya's commentary does exactly that. The next point. Purva Mimamsakas or philosophers for whom only the first portion of the Vedas, namely Karma Kanda, is Pramanam. Karma Kanda is the ritualistic portion of the Vedas. It talks about performing rituals, accumulating punya, and attaining higher lokas. For them, reaching higher lokas and enjoying higher pleasures is the ultimate. The Gita talks about karma at many places. Thus, they interpret the Gita according to their philosophy. But Shankaracharya, with the support of Upanishads and reasoning, points out the flaws in this karma system. Any karma can produce only a finite result. So, the higher lokas like Swarga attained with punya cannot be eternal. One has to come back when the punya is expended. One example, we pay money and book a tour package. We enjoyed the money's worth when enjoyed the money's worth, we have to come back. Similarly, we earn punya and go to Swarga. There, we spend punya and enjoy higher pleasures. And we come back when punya is expended. Thus, Shankaracharya establishes that karma cannot lead one to the ultimate truth. In other words, whatever is achieved by karma is not the ultimate truth. But Vyasa and Shankaracharya do not reject karmas. No human being can remain without doing karma, secular or religious. Why not use the same karma as a spiritual practice then? Many verses in the Gita are dedicated to karma. Not plain karma, but karma done with a prayerful attitude. This is called Karma Yoga. The following questions are clearly dealt with in Shankaracharya's commentary. Why Karma Yoga? What is Karma Yoga? Where does it lead the seeker of the truth to? Our identification with the body-mind complex is so strong that initially it is almost impossible to transcend it and abide in the Brahman. Being witness to thoughts and emotions and not identifying with them is easier said than done when ego is strong. As an intermediary step, there should be something to weaken the ego. Ego has two aspects in the context of karma, doership and enjoyership. We say, I do this, I do that. And we also say, I enjoy the fruit of my karma. How to weaken both the doer I and the enjoyer I? By surrendering to a higher principle, God. At this stage, one may not know much about God. There is a belief in a personal God, say Vishnu. He created this universe, including all the living beings. He gives results for all our actions. Pleasure for righteous actions and pain for wrong actions. The results may not be immediate, but at the right time, known only to Him. Knowing this much about God is enough initially. The first step is to target enjoyership. There is nothing wrong in acquiring worldly objects, nothing wrong in pursuing desires. But when the results come, remember to enjoy them as God's prasad. Aim for pleasure, no problem. But even if you get unfavorable result, take that also as God's prasad. No complaints. Why? He knows when to give what. There is a big difference between I enjoy the result of my action and I enjoy God's prasad. This is the first step of surrender. Second step is to target doership. I do attitude. When a seeker progresses to this step, pursuing desires drops. No desire-based actions, but only duty-based actions. What is my duty? God has given me various roles to play. Child, parent, spouse, teacher, student, employee, neighbor, citizen, etc. Play them perfectly with dedication as an offering to God. This is the second step of surrender. These two steps are Karma Yoga. I do changes to I do as an offering to God. I enjoy changes to I enjoy God's prasad. Over a period of time, the ego will be mature enough to completely surrender itself. It will be ready for the highest knowledge. Even after knowledge, karmas will be happening at the body and mind level. But there will not be an ego to identify itself as doer and enjoyer. Thus, changing karma to Karma Yoga leads one to the highest truth. The next point. There are others who give a theistic touch to their philosophy. They say only bhakti gives moksha. What is bhakti according to them? Let us see. The subject-object division, that is, I and the rest of the world division, is absolutely real according to them. I, the sufferer in the world, should turn my attention from worldly things and do exclusive bhakti to God. After death, the bhakta reaches the abode of God and be in His presence always. This is liberation. Liberation from worldly sufferings. Shankaracharya points out that as long as there is division, we are still in the relative plane only. Even if it is Bhakta Bhagavan division, it cannot be absolute. The Gita talks a lot about bhakti in the name of Bhakti Yoga. Let us first see common man's bhakti, how it matures into Bhakti Yoga, and how it further leads to Jnana. Let us take the support of this Gita shloka. Tatur vidha bhajante mam jana sukriti norjuna arto jignasurartharthi jnani cha bharatarshabha. There are 4 types of bhaktas. Devoted to Bhagavan for solving worldly problems and for fulfilling worldly desires are the first 2, Artha Bhakta and Artharthi Bhakta. Then Bhakti matures into Bhakti Yoga. Now the Bhakta leaves the worldly matters behind and is exclusively devoted to God. Devotion to God to attain God, nothing else. He is Jignasu Bhakta. When the bhakti is deep enough, the Bhakta Bhagavan division also disappears. Pure bhakti, that is pure love, alone remains. Remember our pure consciousness. What is it? That which transcends the subject I and object world division, right? What is pure bhakti here? It is that which transcends the subject Bhakta and object Bhagavan division. So there is no difference between pure consciousness and pure bhakti. At the ultimate level, the experience of oneness of a jnani is the same as the experience of oneness of a bhakta. That is why Krishna calls the 4th type of bhakta a jnani. In the Gita, quite a few verses are cryptic, meaning difficult to understand. Shankaracharya's commentary becomes extremely important in unfolding these verses. Without going into details, I'll just mention a few such verses here. Na sato vidyate bhavaha, na bhavo vidyate sataha, ubhayorapi drishtontaha, tvanayostattvadarshibhihi, maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyaktamurtina, matsthani sarvabhutani, na chaham teshvavasthitaha, na cha matsthani bhutani, पश्य मे योगमैश्वरम् भूतभृन्न च भूतस्थः ममात्मा भूतभावनः. These three verses talk about the absolute and relative realities which we discussed before. The next one is Yanisha sarvabhutanam tasyam jagarti sayyami yasyam jagrati bhutani Sanisha Pashyato Munehe. This verse talks about how the vision of a jnani is totally different from the understanding of the common man who is still in the relative plane. The next one is Karmanya Karmaya Pashyet Akarmani Cha Karmayaha Sabuddhiman Manushyeshu Sayukta Karma Kritsna Karma Krit. Again, Sabuddhiman Manushyeshu Sayukta Kritsna Karma Krit. This verse is about how the constant changes and actions happening at the relative plane do not touch the underlying absolute reality. If the seeker is sincere, the commentary for these verses is capable of shifting the vision from relative to the absolute. The next one is about values. Throughout the Gita, the importance of cultivating good values is stressed. That I am Brahman is understood intellectually first. But if the emotional personality is very narrow and self-centered, there will not be any benefit of this knowledge. One can transcend the relative and be the witness only when the emotional personality is purified to some extent. How to do that? Shankaracharya beautifully explains. The values mentioned in the Gita are manifested by jnanis spontaneously. That means effortlessly. Hence, the seekers need to cultivate them deliberately. By doing so, the mind is purified. Karma Yoga that we saw a while ago and cultivation of values are not totally different. Both address the same problem. Strong ego, narrow mind, and self-centered personality. Okay, when the Gita is studied with Shankaracharya's commentary, there will not be any doubt about our end goal, liberation. It will not be seen as a future event after death. It is here and now. Next, the place of Karma Yoga and cultivating values in the overall scheme of things will be clear to us. At the ultimate level, Jnana and Bhakti are one and the same will be understood. While taking a walk in the Gita garden, it will be a joy to hold Shankaracharya's hand. He will make us experience the beauty and fragrance of each verse. Hari Om. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
For introducing us to Shankaracharya's commentaries on the Bhagavad-Gita. Does the audience have any questions? Do we have any questions, please? You can please share your question in the chat box if you have any. Okay, I think the audience does not have questions. So as Gauri ma'am said in the beginning, it's one of the two things. You, in fact, ma'am, have made it very clear. The examples you used were wonderful, and I'm sure everybody enjoyed your talk a lot. So now I invite Dr. Anupal from the Department of Hindi to sum up today's sessions. Dr. Anupal.
Thank you. Thank you, Isha.
You're welcome, ma'am.
धन्यवाद मैम. ऋग्वेद का एक बड़ा ही प्रसिद्ध श्लोक है एकम स्वधिप्रः बहुधा वदन्ति, कि ज्ञान की एक ही बात को विद्वत जन अपने अपने ढंग से कहते हैं। शंकराचार्य का अद्वैत दर्शन एक तरह से हमारे लिए मार्गदर्शक है। देखा जाए तो उनसे प्रेरणा लेकर जितने भी आगे, चाहे शुद्धाद्वैतवाद है, द्वैताद्वैतवाद है, द्वैतवाद है, विशिष्टाद्वैतवाद है, जीव का लक्ष्य एक ही है, दो से एक होना, उस परमपिता परमात्मा के चरणों में आत्मा का निवास होना। केवल 32 वर्ष की आयु तक पहुंचकर शंकराचार्य ने इतना बौद्धिक श्रेष्ठता को प्राप्त किया। आज के वक्तव्य से निश्चय ही हमारे प्रतिभागी लाभान्वित हुए हैं। जब तक कमायनी एक महाकाव्य हिंदी का सर्वश्रेष्ठ, उसमें जयशंकर प्रसाद कहते हैं, ज्ञान दूर कुछ क्रिया भिन्न है, इच्छा पूरी हो क्यों मन की, एक दूसरे से मिल ना सके यही विडंबना है जीवन की। यही आधुनिकता के संदर्भ में अगर हम देखें तो कहा जा सकता है, जब तक ज्ञान क्रिया और इच्छा का समन्वय नहीं होता तब तक आज की जो भटकन है वो समाप्त नहीं हो सकती। सभी वक्ताओं ने बड़े ही अच्छे ढंग से अद्वैतवाद के दर्शन को आज के संदर्भ में, पुरातन संदर्भ में कैसे लागू किया जा सकता है, कैसे उससे प्रेरणा ली जा सकती है, बड़े ही सारगर्भित ढंग से बौद्धिकतापूर्ण अपने व्याख्यानों से सबको लाभान्वित किया है। आशा है कि सबने इसका खूब लाभ उठाया होगा। अब मैं हिंदी विभाग के विभागाध्यक्ष डॉक्टर किरण ग्रोवर जी को धन्यवाद ज्ञापन के लिए आमंत्रित करता हूँ। डॉक्टर किरण ग्रोवर जी।
हेलो मैडम सारिका, मेरी आवाज आ रही है? आप सबको शंकराचार्य जी की जयंती पर हार्दिक बधाई हो। वो शंकराचार्य जिन्होंने आस्था, दर्शन और भूगोल को एक साथ जोड़ा, संपूर्ण राष्ट्र को धार्मिक और सांस्कृतिक एकता के सूत्र में बांधा। शंकराचार्य जी ने जिस अद्वैत दर्शन की स्थापना की, लंबी अवधि के बाद भी भारतीय और विश्व की मनीषा लगातार मंत्रमुग्ध है। शंकराचार्य जी ने चारों दिशाओं में मठों की स्थापना की। उत्तर में ज्योतिर्मठ, जिसका भरत वाक्य है यह आत्मा ब्रह्म है। दक्षिण में श्रृंगेरी मठ की स्थापना की, उसका भरत वाक्य है मैं ब्रह्म हूँ। पूर्व में गोवर्धन मठ की स्थापना की, जिसका वाक्य है ब्रह्म ज्ञान से स्वरूपित है। पश्चिम में शारदा मठ को विनिर्मित किया, जिसका वाक्य है वह तू ही है। तो धन्यवाद ज्ञापन से पहले मैं शंकराचार्य जी के अद्वैत दर्शन को और आज के वेबिनार के तीनों वक्ताओं की विचार सारणी को समाहार करना चाहूंगी और शंकराचार्य जी के अद्वैत दर्शन को 6 सूत्रों के अंतर्गत मैं आपके समक्ष प्रस्तुत करना चाहती हूँ। ब्रह्म ही सत्य है, ब्रह्मांड ब्रह्म द्वारा निर्मित है, ब्रह्म और आत्मा एक हैं, मानव ज्ञान का स्रोत है, मनुष्य जीवन का लक्ष्य मुक्ति है और मुक्ति का साधन ज्ञान है। तो इसी ज्ञान की प्राप्ति को शंकराचार्य जी ने मुक्ति बताया है। और आज के वेबिनार के लिए आप सबका आभार व्यक्त करने के लिए मेरे पास शब्द नहीं। निशब्दता की गांठ शब्दों के बंधन से भी मजबूत होती है। सर्वप्रथम मैं मैडम गौरी महूलीकर, जो कि आज बीज वक्ता के रूप में हमारे समक्ष उपस्थित हुई, और मैडम गौरी के विचारों से मुझे प्रतिध्वनित हुआ कि आप बहुमुखी प्रतिभा की धनी हैं। आपने शंकराचार्य जी के अद्वैत दर्शन की ऐतिहासिकता पर प्रकाश डालकर हम सबको नवीन सोच और नूतन संकल्प प्रदान किया। मैडम, मैं आपके प्रति हार्दिक आभार व्यक्त करती हूँ। और मुख्य वक्ता
मैडम शिवानी ठाकुर जो कि आपके समक्ष उपस्थित हुई, जिन्होंने सांकेतिक प्रस्तुति द्वारा शंकराचार्य जी के जीवन दर्शन को व्यवहारिकता में हम सब के सामने प्रस्तुत किया। मैं मैडम शिवानी ठाकुर जी के प्रति कृतज्ञता ज्ञापित करती हूँ और विशेष वक्ता मैडम श्री रंजनी जी के प्रति भी मैं धन्यवाद ज्ञापित करना अपना धर्म समझती हूँ, जिन्होंने अद्वैत दर्शन के विचारों को नए रंग में अनुरंजित कर दिया। तो अब मैं कॉलेज के प्राचार्य श्री राजेश कुमार महाजन जी का भी शुक्रिया अदा करना चाहती हूँ, जिन्होंने अपनी व्यस्त सारणी में से अपना अमूल्य समय हमें दिया, और विशेष रूप से उनका धन्यवाद जिनमें प्रतिभागी और विद्यार्थी शामिल हैं, और उनका धन्यवाद मैं दिल की गहराइयों से करना चाहती हूँ, और जिनके परिणाम स्वरूप यह वेबिनार हम करवाने में सफल हो पाए। और अंत में आयोजन समिति की मैं प्रशंसा करना चाहती हूँ, जिन्होंने शारीरिक, मानसिक और आध्यात्मिक दृष्टि से हमें सहयोग दिया। इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ आप सबका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। और इस कार्यक्रम की धुरी जो कि मैडम सारिका, वो विशेष रूप से धन्यवाद की पात्र हैं, जिन्होंने शंकराचार्य जी के अद्वैत दर्शन को हमें श्रुतिगत करवाया। तो इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ आप सबका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। आशा है कि हम जल्द ही दोबारा इस आभासी पटल पर मिलेंगे। आप सबका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। हमारी ओर से फीडबैक लिंक YouTube पर और गूगल मीट पर भेज दिया गया है, तो आप उसको भर के अपना प्रमाण पत्र प्राप्त कर सकते हैं। आप सबका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
Thank you so much, Kiran ma'am. I'm sure we all have much to take away from today's session, and there are many questions that we are left with on our minds that shall redirect the way we perceive the reality around us. And to end today's session, a phrase that Gauri ma'am used in her session, Shravan Manan Nidhi Ithyasan. Good day to you all. Thank you so much for joining in. Thank you.